Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. I'm so delighted to be introducing our very special guest today, Robert A. Wilson, who's here to share with us Awakening the Unscripted Self. What if the language you speak is the very thing that keeps you from your true, authentic self? Robert's here to share with us how Cowboy Wisdom hypnoacuity reshapes the way we think, listen, and awaken to a more authentic way of living. Robert A. Wilson is the creator of My Cowboy Wisdom and the pioneering voice behind Cowboy Wisdom hypnoacuity. His work blends frontier clarity with inner awareness, guiding audiences to move beyond inherited programming and reconnect with their authentic presence. Through his podcasts, poetic writings, courses, and transformational language, Robert invites listeners to break free from old scripts and live with greater courage, intuition, and self-awakened truth. So welcome to the show, Robert Wilson.
Well, thank you, Marianne. It's my honor and privilege to be here.
Well, you're one of the people I just really appreciate and love your work. And so for those that are talking about Cowboy Wisdom, what is that?
Well, Cowboy Wisdom's actually, I grew up when I was young, really young. I grew up on, my uncle had a cattle ranch and a farm operation, and I grew up on that. And I actually rode rodeo in high school, learned how to rope, did all the cowboy things, and then I moved to Wyoming, but I never left my cowboy roots because one thing about that, the cowboy wisdom, it's grounded with Mother Earth. It's an earthly grounding. And once you understand it, you don't get all caught up in all the hoopla. You kind of stay grounded and you can question your way through life. It's about learning to ask maverick questions.
Well, we were just talking about having to figure things out, and I believe that's part of what Cowboy Wisdom is. Life throws us these kind of curveballs, and we have to figure things out.
I look at it this way. Everybody, we got our desired life and everything we want, but I call it God, the spirit, whatever. They're mischievous. They like to see whether you're going to dance with the outcome or cry and not go to it. And when I mean dance with it, they're going to throw you curveballs because to go from where you're at to where you want to be, you got to let go of a lot of inherited programming. And see, we was never embedded anything. We inherited programming from our parents' life, school system. And that inherited programming is in the mind and it reacts before we do. But the thing is, the body leads. That's something I really want people to open up to. The body leads the mind. And once you just don't get all wound up about that, allow yourself to pay attention and feel your body and listen to it and see what happens when something unsteady happens out there, whether the body or the mind. But once the body reacts, the mind's going to go to the first representation of whatever that is. And the mind lives in the past, and it loves bringing up past pain because that's what it understands. And that's what it is. But what it is give your time. So we always think we have to react to everything right now, and we don't. All you have to do is give yourself some time and see, understanding boundaries keep you locked in yesterday, but contours opens up the energy and allows you to go surround it with energy. And if you take boundaries out of your life and use contours, you never get caught up in a boundary. A boundary is a dead end. And that dead end never leaves because to the subconscious mind, that's a comfort zone. And that's where we stay inside that boundary and we never get out into the frontier of our own foresight and our forthrightness. But a lot of the words we use, Marianne, keeps us locked in yesterday.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit because I know you are a master at using your words. Why is that so important? And why don't you explain to us the thought process and how you use the words the way you do? Because I find it so magical.
See, words are imprints of a situation. That's what, the words we speak. Like for me, change, heal, create, transformations are good words, but they keep the cognitive recollections of all your events alive. And you're trying to rise out of the event, but you're trying to change with the same verbiage, and everything's the same. And something I did, two things actually. One is I unpunctuated my writings. And what unpunctuated writings are is breath punctuation. You naturally punctuate it yourself. You know when to take a breath and when to do this. But punctuation, it stops you. When you see a period, you stop. Well, that stops the flow. And see, that's the thing about punctuation. And then we were taught to learn and try to digest everything the author wants you to know. Well, you're not expanding, you're trying to fit what that author knows into your life. And see, the thing, people, when you make up your own words and make unpunctuated, you're actually liberating yourself to express who you are. And once I started unpunctuated my writings in 2011, and then I started realizing I stopped being so stuck and holding on to and attached to everything. And then about 2014, I started writing with a little bit of rhyming in there. And rhyming entertains the brain and the mind and the body. That kind of opens you up and it kind of awakens your curiosity to see where you can go. And then I started using one of the main things I did for me. I can only talk about what I did for me because I don't have a right to tell people. Well, I can show people the way I did it, but not tell them. See, we're so used to being told what to do, we're always looking for outside approval. And that is something else. But one thing I really did was just writing rhymes and open-ended it. And when the punctuation is gone, I'm not trying to stop and figure out what I'm supposed to do. It takes that um, political correctness out. But when you write in rhymes and unpunctuated, you can get in a flow and just go. But when you're being all trying to put in the punctuation, oh, am I saying this right, saying that right? No, let it just flow. Whatever comes out is the way it's supposed to be. But also, the word that I really opened up to is two words: rise and liberation. Rise out of the situation and feel the liberation within yourself. And then you can open up to, because to me, all the words we use like change, heal, create, transformation, forgiveness, them are very controlling and very blocked words because you're thinking. And inspiration and liberation, you're letting the flow, you're letting it flow to open you up to who you are. And that is the big thing. But if you read unpunctuated writings for 30 days, you'll feel a difference. I got a couple friends of mine have been reading them since 2011, and they don't like punctuation no more. That's only in self-help. Now, punctuation in the world has got to be there, but when you're trying to liberate yourself, what the outside world is doing doesn't matter to you. Only thing is what are you willing to rise out of, liberate, and energize yourself? And that's why I call it energetic liberation, because you feel energetic in here, and it's got to come from in. You want to feel it come up because the body then is energizing. You're entertaining your brain and energizing the scenarios in the subconscious mind, not the imprints, but the scenarios. If you take scenarios out of your scenarios instead of possibilities, you can color and paint a scenario, possibility. What is it? And the main thing is to all this is you can open up to fresh experiences. If you say the word new out loud, and what do you feel? I didn't feel much when I did it, but when I used the word fresh, I felt some exhilaration. And the word fresh brings it to here and now, and it means it's occurring now because new is what is new. It's just something over because we've had new cars, but that is, but fresh experiences opens up, and that's something else. Stop practicing life, experience life. Everything is occurring or happening for you to rise, shine, energize, and expand.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. And so for the folks that really dive into this, because it's really rewiring the brain in many ways, the self-help approach, what is it that they experience when they go through this first 30 days of not paying attention to punctuation and really paying attention to their words?
Well, they really start liberating themselves and see something else I'll share with you. I took all the rewords, rewire, recircuit, all that out of my life because that's going back to past representations. It's now wire, now circuit, now do this, now accomplish this. It brings it to present moment and takes the thinking memory mind out because whenever you go back and use you're going back into a situation that might not have been unsavory, and that subconscious mind will latch onto that just quick. See, the physical world, Marianne, is an illusion. It really only that's doing is showing you your good, the bad, and the limitations within you. And most of the outside world is just showing you your limitations and where you got to rise and expand to move forward. And as soon as you set a goal, I call it accomplished outcomes, you call it, but if you set a goal and accomplished outcome, the mischievous people in the invisible world, they're going to see how bad you want to expand to it because they're going to send everything they can to irritate you and agitate you to see if you want to step forward. The outside world is just an agitator or an instigator, but it's nothing more because everything is inside us. The outside world occurs, but it's inside of you that rises to where you desire to be. And the greatest example of that is Michael Jordan. He got cut from his high school basketball team, but he went in and worked until he become the Michael Jordan of today.
I love that. We're not listening to other people's limitations. We're
That
setting our own we're setting ourselves free from any boundaries.
that's it. That's it. But if you look at the earth, look at a river. It contours through the world, right? It's energy. We contour through the world. And as soon as you set a boundary, you're setting a limitation. Boundaries are new fears waiting to happen down the road. But if I contour around that and ask, why am I apprehensive about this? Why is this occurring to expand me? And where's the wisdom? Them three questions can get rid of a lot of things. And when when something unsavory is happening, your body feels it, but we try to talk ourselves out of listening to the body. You listen to the wisdom of the world to hearken your way forward. And the thing is, hearing is just surface level. Listening is deeper, but hearken, Hearken, that's the deepest listening there is. That's body listening. Because you want to listen with your body to move yourself forward.
So I know that you talk about unblocking energized listening. Can you share about what that is and how that helps us on our journey forward?
Yeah, energized listening takes it internal, and you're not getting any of the fray from the outside world. Energized is you're bringing it into you. Is I feel it right in my heart area when you say energized. Energized listening, it takes out the thinking memory mind because you can't think and listen at the same time. And energized gives you the energy of it. See, I don't use energy or energy. I use energy and energetic because it brings it into me. And then the energetic listening, you ask some maverick questions, and all maverick question is something that awakens your curiosity, and you're not trying to fit into a world that is stuck in our ancestors' way of life. And that's something I've really opened up to The world is stuck in our ancestors' ways, even though we think we got the computers, but the base is still our nervous system, our soul tattoos, and our emotional snapshots and our body still stuck in our ancestors' ways. And if you really pay attention to the world, you can see it. People still can't communicate. They still hate each other from 1,000 years ago or 1,000,000 years ago. We've never been able to communicate to the here and now and realize some of the traditions in the past aren't they no longer serve, they're no longer inspire today. And what we're afraid of is moving on beyond our ancestors' survival mode programming. That's something I really opened up to, is understanding the ancestor survival mode programming that I still encompass. And for me, I learned I inherited all my shortcut, a lot of stuff I inherited from the outside world. Once I opened up to understanding I inherited it, I started detaching from it because we're so attached to everything we think and know through our viewpoints, opinions, and beliefs. We never really move forward in life.
So, if we're looking at inherited programming, what could that look like for people who maybe are unaware of like what they're inheriting and what that programming could be?
How do you do everything like your parents? How do you silently and secretively do everything like your parents? Like I had an anger issue up until about 4 years ago. I get really mad and real frustrated real fast. And one day it just come to me. I was mirroring my dad and mom. And if you watch your people in a relationship, they mirror their parents because from the womb to 5 years old, everything goes straight to the subconscious. We got stuff in there that we didn't even know we embedded, but it inherited in there. And so once you can open up and see how you got to pay attention to yourself. And sometimes what you're paying attention to may not feel good, but it's going to make you good. It's going to release you from it. And inherited, it takes the attachment of I have to be right out of your life. And that's something I really did. And there's 5 things if I'd have never done, if it wasn't for my egotistical arrogance, know-it-all ignorance, stubbornness, hard-headedness, drinking alcohol when I was younger, and having to be right, I'd have never had a challenge in my life. And that's the thing is, how is your stubbornness actually your limitations? It's good and bad. So if you listen and you move forward and you question and listen, you can stroll your way through life, but you're never going to think and know your way past yesterday.
I think it's so important. And one of the things that you talk about that I was really intrigued by is also speaking from breath print. What does that mean and how does that impact our lives?
When you breathe and you speak, that's a breath print. But you want to breathe. See, I didn't realize this until I've been introduced to it, but your breath is a liberation of your life. You inhale the wisdom, exhale the other stuff. But a breath print is what you feel and you want the world to experience. Not here, but experience. And experience is Experience. EX is past, X is now. So you want to experience to experience, but it brings it to now. And see, a lot of the words we use never let us out of the past, Marianne. Like, everybody's, change never happens because the cognitive recollections are still alive. And when people are trying to change their lives, all the stuff, and their cognitive recollections, what happened, all the emotional snapshots and everything, they're still active. So you're really combating yourself. So if you rise to liberation, you're not engaging all that other stuff. And see, a big one is the emotional snapshots. And that's everybody takes them. When you first meet somebody, what you feel or think of how you feel about them, that's an emotional snapshot. And most of the time, Marianne, people can't get out of the emotional snapshot because that I've witnessed that myself and I've done it myself. Whatever that person was the day you met him, when the day he walks away, he's still him or her is still that way. And all that is you being in your comfort zone because that's what we were taught, unknowingly taught. And the world has to rise out of where it's at by understanding everything we learn in school is a mental fence because the real world is more about free flowing energy.
And we've got all of our fences up.
Yes. And what we taught, and a lot of people think what they was taught, well, what I felt I learned in school, that made me the right, but that isn't it. And something I really opened up to, we think electricity is probably the most powerful thing in the world and it controls the world, and we don't realize it. Because if you shut off the electricity, what happens? Everything goes down. And with electricity, there's no computers. That's why they always put in a backup generator, because electricity keeps the world going. And people, we're more like electricity than everybody can ever imagine. So when you can open up to understand the person that you see, like somebody, let's say a quick shop or a little, one of them little QTs or Circle Ks. Well, that person there is as important to your daily life as anybody else, but we never realize it. Because what if all them clerks went home for a week? Where would everybody be? Always look at your life, what your life would be without that. Because we think business and education is the answer to everything. People's the answer to everything. The wisdom of people will rise us. Everything we think and know is going to keep us in yesterday. And when you can open up to admit and understand that, you can rise out of your current situation because your thinking and knowing is keeping you blocked in where you're at. Inspiration, understand, comprehension, wisdom, and revelation will rise you to everywhere.
So when we open up our grammar and our writing structure in this way and our speech in this way, does it open up new pathways to authenticity as well?
Absolutely. Because you're opening up to your own talents, because if you let go of trying to be structured in the world to be a flow, you never get caught up in the structure of outside sources. See, how many times are you writing for the approval of others? I did that and I thought, oh, I write. No, when I stopped punctuating my writings and just kind of opened up to listen to what's coming from in me, I set myself free. The only one that can liberate you is you. And the only one that can hold you in bondage is you. And I wrote a chapter in a book, People Pleasing. When you're writing punctuation, you're trying to please the world, but you're not liberating you. When you write unpunctuated and you read it and you allow your breath, when you take a breath, you punctuated that sentence. It's a natural punctuation, where this is man-made. So what do you get when you do man-made stuff? Stay man-made.
I understand that you have a show called Cowboy Wisdom. I'd love to hear about it.
I talk about everyday life. And it's nothing fancy. It's about liberation, inspiration, wisdom, and clarity. And what it is understanding everything in the physical world is what somebody else wants us to know and do. It's about people, like tonight's podcast is 7 ways why indoctrinated education is unknowing mental fences. Because the more we use everything we learned in school is what somebody else wants us to know and do. It's actually a programming that we don't understand. It's about unprogramming and showing people that they have the natural talent to do whatever they desire to do when they let go of trying to fit into society. Because all we live, you look at the world, it's stuck in social obedience. Well, it is, but it's being a rebel to your own viewpoints, opinions, and beliefs in the way you've always lived. It's about being a rebel to yourself. So you can't rebel in the world. You can rebel to your own habits and see how much, and it's about how much do you do to try to please others or stay inside uh, the boundaries of what other people do. And it's really about you opening up to your own talents. And your talents are never going to fit into somebody else's program. You know, when somebody says they have a program, that's their program. You are unique and you have a unique talent, but the way you discover that talent is never going to be the same way somebody else does. And to me, this is just me, self-help, personal growth, punctuated writings, therapy, that's all programming. That's why I call mine hypnoacuity, because I want to take out the programming and instill a free-flowing movie maker imagination. Because your imagination, intuition, inspiration, and innovation will take you to wherever you want to go. Doing what other people do, you're always going to live inside the boundaries of what they do.
Is that why you call your listeners and readers adventurous wanderers?
Yes, you got to be an adventurer, wanderer. You got to get the colorful curiosity. It's adventurous wonder. What feels better? I do this, or I'm an adventurous wanderer. Does that just kind of open things up for you to feel the freedom of it? It's about you understanding you're a free flowing energy instead of a manipulated follower.
Well, and I think a lot of people feel stuck in life circumstances and what's happening. And earlier you mentioned about, how just business is set up in a way that it's just not really conducive for people to be able to move beyond the structures that are there. I mean, how many people do we have that have gone to college, gotten educated, 4-year degree, and then been told, okay, now you can't find a job? I mean, we have a lot of people that have been told by society, you do these certain things and you're going to receive certain benefits. And then that ends up not really happening.
A lot. Education, you know, I got AI corrupted. I got AI to talk the way I do. But anyway, just ask off the cuff why business and education will never take the world forward. And you'd be surprised, because once people get into business and they get out and they get into the business world, they're focused on business. They ain't focused on people. And when people go to college, they think they're going to get the golden parachute. Well, that golden parachute comes with, they have a pay structure in there. That's why for a kid to go to school, you look at the pay structure of what you're coming out to do. And I always told my nephews, if you're going to go to college, go be a banker, play with money. Don't come out and do this other stuff. Well, I had one go to college. He was a school teacher and ended up training horses and shoeing horses for a living. Made more money. And I was a union electrician for 36 years. You'd be surprised how many people come out of the corporate world and into the electrical world. That was a fiasco, because them school books didn't help when you had to do it with your hands. And that's the thing. We've kind of educated ourselves into a corner of education's right, and the world doesn't understand what's going on. And it's kind of like the people that work with their hands understand. People that stay with their college education, they become blocked, and they think, and how they look at like the craftsmen, they look at us like, oh man, he's a plumber or he's an electrician. Well, We make 175,000 a year. Benefits, retirement. That's not a bad gig. And what the thing is about, like, what I liked about the union was the freedom of it. You could go here or go here, but you always had benefits and pay, a decent pay scale. See, a lot of people don't understand what they're looking down upon. And there is a barrier in this world, Marianne. Uh, I get a degree, you don't. There's a barrier right there. And really, all you are is you're manipulated, and the people that work with their hands understand wisdom.
It seems that a lot of people have forgotten how to really do a lot of hand, the work that we do with our hands, with it, and that kind of thinking outside the box. And it has me kind of thinking there's another thing that you talk about, and you talk about sovereign presence. What is that? And how does that relate to all the work that you do?
Sovereign presence. It's sovereign activations. Sovereign makes it about you. When you use self, you go into memory. So if you use sovereign presence, that means you're here and now. And you're not affected by outside things. But sovereign presence is, I'm sovereign, I'm standing right here, and I'm free, and I'm open to listening. It makes you more liberated from the past because you ain't being a servant to anybody. And that's something else. I'll share that while you're here. I took the word self out of my words. I use the word sovereign because self, I can be selfish, I can be this. When I say sovereign, I feel it feel it here. But sovereign means you're just, well, I don't like the word independent because independent means, but you're sovereign. You're a significant step. You're significant to your life and to yourself, and you're more free to just be of the world rather than in the world and stuck in yesterday. But you're a sovereign presence. You are who you are, and you appreciate who you are. And actually, about a week ago, I actually got the words from inside me. I like myself. See, a lot of people say you gotta love yourself, but do you really feel it? And do you embody it? See, that's the thing I've really opened up to is embody, because embody is it's the forthright feelings within yourself. And see, a lot of people, and see, when you write, if you read a lot of these books, they're very there's no snappy savvy to them. They just talk words and make you feel good. Well, you can't feel good all the time because every once in a while you got to have a little chaos challenge. But all chaos is an awakening. And that's basically what we're doing. When you have a chaos, you're having an awakening. And that's the mischievous spirit and God and all them. Chaos is their awakening for us. Because we aren't listening to our own intuition. And I've gotten that one a lot of times. Actually, I'm pretty good at getting that chaos one.
Well, I've heard it said that if everything worked out perfectly our way all the time, not only would we not have the lessons of life, but wouldn't really appreciate the things that we do have.
Yeah, but for me, anyway, chaos is a celebration. I'm letting go of something. See, we get so caught up in our thinking and knowing when we think everything is supposed to be for us. Well, it is for you, but sometimes you got to go, if you're going to go to Phoenix to Albuquerque, sometimes you got to go up through Las Vegas and come back around because it ain't always a straight path. And that's the thing. Life is never a straight path. And life never has an answer or a solution. It has an outcome and a path. Because when you have the outcome and all that knowledge and everything you got to get to that outcome, it's only good for that outcome. Everything else is fresh. And that's the thing. It's a path. You can always always be on the path. But when you get an answer and solution, how many times do you try to use that for the rest of your life? Once it's used and really did it, it becomes wisdom for down the road. And that's where your intuition, imagination actually open up. And how many times have people tried to use the same thing, same thinking, knowing, and patterns, and end up going broke in business because they never saw them on the path. They saw themselves as the answer and solution because they're dead ends.
I love how your work really carries a rhythm and it has such wisdom behind it. Do you see the way that you use language more is it more of a kind of energy transmission?
Yeah, it's a liberating lingo. It lets me move. And see, if you use if you use more of a flow of words and energy, and the lingo kind of lets it go, you ain't trying to be perfect. That's what I've really learned because everybody does this. I watch a lot of these people. Oh, I got to get it perfect. Life is unrehearsed and a mess. Life is a fresh mess 24/7 and a fresh experience 24/7. And see, we look how we've tried to use perfect since I've been alive, and it's not done very well. The best outcomes are when you're in the hurricane and you're in the eye of the storm, then things become awake. Because life is going to show you things that you never thought was there. And just because it's happening may not be savory, it's unsavory. There's wisdom in there. And one thing we've never asked in this world is where's the wisdom, insight, and clarity to expand us out of this? We always try to stay inside the structure. And if you look at the world the last 30 years, we've been in a structure that we've been thinking is working, but it's not. It's not taking people forward because people aren't moving themselves forward. We become a society of wanting somebody else to do it for us. And yes, I was guilty of that one. But if you want something, open your eyes and your hands because the only helping hand you got is your hands, but you got that free flowing energy inside you, the inspiration, intuition, imagination, and innovation, which is not going to come from any book. And the way it's going to come, it's going to actually be outside the boundaries of of life. And see something else. If you look at the world, it's on a train track. Business and education, everything else is in between. Well, yours is probably out there in the North 40 headed to someplace else is where your wisdom, insight, and clarity is. And we're trying to do, computers are fantastic, but they don't have that spirit intuition that you have.
That puts things really in perspective. And one of the things I want to dive into is the hypnotherapy you do. I'd love for you to share that with us.
I call it hypnoacuity because it takes out the angst. The hypnotherapy, I don't, you know, I like pain management. My hypnotherapy is mostly about present moment. And that's why I write the way I do. I do because if you can open up to the liberation of your present moment, you can start letting go of everything because trauma, drama, all the unsavory trauma, drama, insecurity, immaturity, that's inherited from your parents. Mine was. That's why I say that because it's all inherited. And once you can understand that's inherited, you can start questioning yourself to rise out of it. Because from the womb to 5, we inherited everything. The way your parents talked, the way your parents did things, you inherited that 100% without you even knowing it. The subconscious, I can't get these numbers right, but we do like the conscious mind does 5 to 7 things per second. Subconscious mind does an ungodly amount, like 100. It does a lot of things. And see, a lot of things go into our subconscious that we don't even know is in there. And then when something happens in the physical world, it clicks on that. And then that's how come you respond and react the way you do. But mine is more about communicating with yourself in the present moment and listening and communicating with society. Because everything that happens in your physical world, in your daily life, that doesn't just, that's occurring for you to rise from where you're at. And that's to do it. And my hypnotherapy is about inspiration. I love inspiration, liberation, inspiration, wisdom, and clarity. Them four things will take you through life. Everything else is convoluted and not really, it's not needed. It's not even wanted. And that's the thing we inherited is we have to have everything perfect. Well, I'm the imperfect speaker. That's my deal. I love imperfection, and that's what I'm going to be because I'm going to have fun and I don't care what it is. Because people are more afraid of fun and humor than anything in life. They have to be serious about everything, and that's serious gets you nothing. But if you open up and if you can make fun of everything, you can laugh at it. And if you laugh, it opens your heart. I got a class called I Laugh at Me, I'm Free.
I've taken that class, and what an eye opener it is because it does put things into perspective. When you meet with people and you're doing hypnocuity, what's the number one block you see people having to deal with?
Afraid of themselves. They're always trying to put and putting it in the outside world rather than take responsibility. But 90% of people don't realize the only thing they're really afraid of is their own abilities because it don't fit into society. And it's outside of their parents and everything. It's about them getting outside of themselves. And it's that simple, Marianne. And something else, when somebody gets in and say, when people, well, you have something wrong with you and I can help you. What they're really telling you is I'm going to keep you stuck in your past and take your money.
Well, they can't take somebody a place where they haven't been, right? So if they're stuck in their own programming, how are they going to help people remove theirs?
There you go. I went to hypnotherapy classes, and one of them I was in, it took about 9 months, and I was within the same people. But what's funny is some of the people come in with the same obstructions the first day and the last day. Because a lot of people think drama and trauma makes them what is the word you want to use? It makes them important, right? Oh, but basically they're looking for sympathy. Basically, people quit looking for sympathy and understand they encompass the grit, get, and go. They'll open up to their own talents. But most people are afraid to open up with their talents because it doesn't fit into the social way of life. Your talents will never fit into society because they're unique to you and you're unique to the universe. Everything else is the same. And if you look at the world the last long time, Marianne, everybody wants you to fit into the business and educational world. And that is for people that are followers, basically. I got words for it. I call it the followerocracy, sheepocracy, herdocracy, titleocracy, and turdocracy. Ocracy means following. Because everybody is trying to look good in somebody else's eyes. I did when I was young, but now I don't care what anybody thinks. And Marianne, I don't punctuate my writings. I don't edit my writings. I don't edit my podcast because the way they come out, that's the way it was supposed to be.
Well, you're definitely a maverick. Would many people would consider you a maverick for doing things the way that you do? And what are some maverick questions you wish everyone would start asking themselves?
Who am I? When the world isn't looking, who am I? And what are the talents that I'm afraid to show the world? That's basically what it is. People are afraid to show the world their talents. And if I could sit down and write, what would I do if I didn't care and if I wasn't afraid? See, most people don't realize the only enemy they have is within themselves. And something I'm going to do a podcast on here, the beauty of the world is inside me. The outside world is just images, but the beauty of the world is inside me. And when I can see the beauty of me, I see the beauty of the world. And that's the thing. The outside world is just an illusion. What we try to, and I made this mistake in my own life. I tried to think I had to expand to the outside world. No, I didn't have to do nothing with that. I had to rise to the talents of me and show the world. That's the thing. You got to rise to your talents to show the world your talents, because it's only people that are going to rise this world up.
So, how can we unlearn obedience and reclaim curiosity?
Now that you're going to that takes a little bit of a courage, because you have to realize and understand social obedience and where you're at before you can move forward. And colorful and curiosity is, what would the ornery me do, or what would the troublemaker do, rather than try to fit into this. See, that's what I call myself, as a troublemaker magician. And that means, but a troublemaker, if you look at the world, troublemakers, rebellions, or hellions, and all that always been looked down. But every time the world rose out of an unsavory situation, it was always the troublemakers and the rebellious ones that did it. Docile people will never change the world. Troublemakers rise the world out of the oppression of the world. And right now, the world is getting ready for some. What's a lifestyle you desire to experience? And how? What will you have? What will have to leave your life for you to rise to that situation? And the more you stay in an educated mindset, the more it is. But what is the scenario? See, if you take mindset out and use scenario, what is the scenario I want to live? Not the mindset. Because when you say mindset, the mind's involved, and that's all frozen in time representations. But when you rise to it, it's about, you have to ask a question. First, you have to know, understand, and embody what you want to go and where you want to be, and who in your life is holding you back. And the worst thing you can do, Marianne, is tell your family and friends about your dreams. You want to go write them down, go talk to somebody, but never talk to somebody that's in your circle of friends about what you're going to do, because they're your naysayers. Your family and friends are your naysayers. And if you really want to know somebody to go talk to a tarot reader. Go talk to somebody that isn't inhibited by society. Somebody like me, the Native American energy just intrigues me. It's like, I know this is getting off track, but it's like Cochise. He was a renegade Indian, but before he died, he had $10,000 in the bank, and that was back then. He was a wheeler dealer. Good thing he'd have been owning Wall Street. But see, the thing is, a lot of times the rebel rousers are the successful people of life, because they don't understand the word no. That meant a yes in a different way. But it's really about people. You have to sit down, and you're not going to do this all at once, but you have to really understand, how are you holding yourself back? Because you're the only one holding yourself back. And how did your parents do things? That's a big one. That's why rich kids get usually become rich because they were showed how to be rich as kids.
They have
Because
that education, huh?
well, they have that. Yeah, they have that successful scenario in their mind. They were showed it. And see, like hourly workers, like my parent, I understand hourly work. We understand kind of what our parents do. And I did. And that's kind of the way it was. And see, there's three things, Marianne, this world has never got out of: the Civil War, the 30s, and society, the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson. We still have the same thing going on as we did in the Civil War. We created it. Well, kind of. The dirty 30s, the poverty consciousness, and the Great Society, we think we're owed something. Them three things still control the world today because we have that mindset.
It says that we are either trapped in one of these belief patterns.
Yeah.
So, to remove that, what is the most powerful way we could start removing that? Is that a hypnoacuity session with you so we could start working through these layers?
Well, basically, it's reading my writings because you got to get yourself to where you have the courage to understand that you're being held back by yourself and let go. Tell yourself it's okay to be better, rise above my parents. And if you look at a lot of this, there's a lot of ways you can see this. See, poverty consciousness is inherited, thinking you're owed something is inherited. And how did your parents, if you look at the world and you look at certain places in the world, you can see how the kids today follow their parents. And it's even in the national news. The thing is we got to write. See, it's like any ism, racism, czars, and that, it's inside me. Ism means inside me. And whatever it is that's holding you back, the outside world has nothing to do with it. If you're saying the outside world is holding you back, that's an excuse. An excuse to stay the same. See, everybody wants to do something, but they got an excusepedia, so they go into there, oh, this excuse works today, and keeps themselves from doing it. The only excuse you have for not reaching where you want to go is you, because it's all out there. But the thing is everybody goes like to a seminar and thinks they're going to come out of that all at once, and oh yeah, they're only good for 3 days because all they do is touch and make the mind feel good. They don't understand they got to go deeper than the mind. See, a lot of them seminars are just 3-day feel goods. Mine is every day you expand. And see, it's something else. I never want to see a client more than 4 times. After 4 times, they should be able to understand and be able to look the world in the eye and tell them who they are. Because a lot of things is something I noticed is a lot of the self-help and stuff, it never lets you out of the past. And the past is here and now. You rise out of the past through your everyday life. Everybody comes in there is a representation of something. And if you listen, you rise. If you talk, you balk. Listen your way to wherever you want to go. Talk your way to yesterday. That's the way. And think and know your way to yesterday. If I want to leave somebody with something, I want you to open up to understand. You think and know your way to yesterday. Everything today is fresh foresight to light your light of life.
I know you describe cowboy wisdom as raw clarity in motion. What happens when clarity becomes movement?
You feel you feel illuminated. You look at the world, basically you look at the world as a safari instead of as a muddled mess. But when you raw clarity means you're uninhibited by your thinking memory mind. And I'm still expanding through that. But the more I rise, the more I get rid of that thinking, knowing mind and understand. I speak from inspiration. I listen for the wisdom to hearken and embody my way forward. But the word hearken is you listen with, and actually, when you read something, you want to listen with your body and not your head. You never want to use the mind because the mind is full. And that's why I don't use mindfulness. All that means is I got a mind full of a mess. I listen with the body to color the scenarios of my featureless canvas and my subconscious scenarios. Do you see the difference?
I do. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to really walk us through all that. My goodness, Rob, I mean, you're such an inspiration. Where can our listeners go to connect with you and, of course, to listen to your podcast?
My podcast will be always on YouTube. You can go to mycowboywisdom.com, and my email's cwbywsdm@gmail.com. But you can go to mycowboywisdom.com, and you can read my own punctuated writings and listen to my podcasts there on YouTube and all over. But the thing about my stuff is, if you're coming to get answers, you're not going to get them. You're coming to listen, to rise and expand and energize your life, you're going to get everything you desire. Because the worst thing, the biggest holdback is people looking for answers from somebody else. When you have the wisdom. And see, when people go to these seminars, they're wanting to be fixed. You can never fix anything, but you can open up to understand and embody everything. As understand and embody takes the thinking mind out. That's the thing. To rise out of this, you really want to get away from the thinking memory mind to unwind your divine daredevilry. That's something else. Use words that got a little pizzazz to them, like daredevilry, tenacity, audacity. You want to get a verbiage that excites you. And you want to discover your own liberating lingo. That's what I did. And I use expand, energize, enterprise, and experience over change, heal, create, and transformation. Because there's no expand, energize, enterprise, and experience have no cognitive recollections. And appreciation over forgiveness, because that takes the cognitive recollection out. That's the thing. To expand your life, get the cognitive recollections out of your life.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Well, thank you. And it's my honor and privilege to be here. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Rob. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about awakening the unscripted self. Make sure to visit Rob's website at mycowboywisdom.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.